Certainly I've had a chance to work with some of the finest orchestras in the world. I continue to work with the finest orchestras in the world. It is, however, a fact that any conductor is seeking the relationship with orchestras. And that's what makes this relationship with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra special. It's about deepening the relationship that we already have. And that, over these last 10 years, has been one of the great joys of working with this orchestra. The most fun parts about being here is not just collaborating with Robert in as far as we talk about the programming, we talk about the repertoire, the soloists, the conductors, but also the fact that we get to perform with one another. He's an awesome pianist, and certainly we've done Mozart together, we've done four-hand music together, and I was eager, he seems eager to repeat this partnership on stage, which is why we're bringing the triple concerto next year with Robert at the piano, with David Coucheron, the leader, with Chris Rex, our solo cellist, and myself on the podium. The music of William Moulton is quite familiar to me, coming from the islands, and for me it's personally still a thrill to bring works here to Atlanta. Not just the familiar, but also the unfamiliar. And his first symphony is a remarkable work. And I do believe that this is the perfect orchestra to be bringing it. It's a wonderful feature of my work here, to be working on a regular basis with arguably the finest chorus in the world, the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra chorus. And the challenge now is actually, after having performed so many different big works together, both here and abroad, to find further works where we would like to collaborate. And it was astonishing to find out that the Requiem of Maurice de Rufflet was last performed in the mid-80s with the legendary Robert Shaw. So besides the fact that it's a glorious work, I think it's high time that piece appeared again. And once that big piece was in place, the de Rufflet, it was a matter of, like any good menu, what context, what goes well with it. The music of Olivier Messiaen has been a trusted friend all my performing life. And one of his earliest works, this Les Affrontes Oubliées, is an extraordinary work which already, although youthful, although written when he was a relatively young man, has everything about the profoundly religious, spiritual sound world that came to inform his later works. It's all there. The DNA is clearly there. And we also felt in programming that it would be wonderful. The de Rufflet is not a huge work to feature the chorus in another work. And La Damoiselle Élue is, talking about youthful works, is a very youthful work, a work submitted for the Prix de Rome. I think the audience will be thrilled to hear this work. I can only presume that very few people will have heard this work live. It's Debussy at his most youthful, but also at his, in some ways, most mature. A work which I think belongs certainly in our repertoire. And together with the de Rufflet and the Messiaen, I think has a fairly broad sweep of French repertoire over the last 150 years. The challenge in putting a season together is there are so many works that you really want to hear every season, and you only have a certain number of concerts to put all of this together. And as far as I'm concerned, the music of Johannes Brahms, whether it's symphonic or whether it's the concerti, I think should be featured every year. I come to this repertoire obviously fairly often. The Germanic repertoire is of huge appeal to me. Specifically the First Symphony is a work that I did very early on in my relationship with this orchestra. That's part of the thrill now, actually. It's very fulfilling to come back to works a second or a third time, seeing as this relationship has been such a long one. The work with Lars Vogt is an extraordinary one. I know Lars a long, long time. We've collaborated in Europe on a number of occasions. There's no finer exponent of the music of Johannes Brahms. So this program is something of a, without wishing to be in any way derogatory, a no-brainer. In reflecting on the 10, 11 years that I've spent already with this orchestra, and excited as I am moving forward the next 2 or 3 years, I think the trust that has been built up with the orchestra is also reflected in the trust that the audience, it would seem, has now in this organization, in Robert's inspired leadership. It's been extremely rewarding to genuinely, viscerally experience the audience enthusiasm in hearing something new, in hearing something modern, in hearing something unfamiliar. And I don't think there could be any greater testament to what the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra is achieving with this remarkable audience. There are so many members in this family, the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra. There are the members of the orchestra, there are of course the members of the chorus, but there are also potential future members of this orchestra, and they are in the Atlanta Symphony Youth Orchestra. And over the years I have endeavored to find time to work with them. This is the future. This is not just working with them in the present. It's hopefully informing their lives a little during these rehearsals. It's obviously one aspect in a multifaceted approach to education. I look at some of the younger additions, incredibly young additions to the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, the young players who have joined this remarkable family, and to be able to inform their lives, to be able to bestow some of the wisdom I may have accumulated over the years in certain repertoire, where you know that they are playing a work, whether it's a Gustav Mahler Second Symphony or a Britten Violin Concerto, for the very first time. There is a very strong and profound feeling of gratitude to be able to give back that which set me on this remarkable journey in the first place.